Hey, everybody, welcome back to The Broken Brain. This is your Monday mental tip for Monday of this week, which is today as it happens, so that all works out pretty well. Let me work my plug in for this month's highlighted charity, which is dcoffeefoundation.org. That's D as in Delise. Dr. Delise Coffee has founded this organization to help young people to further their education through athletic scholarships and other forms of athleticism to move forward in their lives. Does a lot of good there. So D Coffee, COFFEY, foundation.org to learn more about them. So, and now, okay, I want to share something with you that I think is very important. Let me tell you the premise of this first. The premise is we should learn and ask questions about what people's experiences really are and not make assumptions. Okay. And definitely also, we need to be careful about using things that are really rough or hard as something to just be inspirational. In particular, I'm thinking about disabilities today. This is something that I think most people in the space that I occupy as a therapist and also somebody who does online content and podcasting, I talk to a lot of people who have a lot of inspirational stories. A lot of those do revolve around either mental wellness disabilities or just other disabilities, other life challenges, and trying to approach that with a sense of ethics, a sense of morality around it, and trying to use it in a way that is careful and considerate. And above all, one of the things I really, really like about interviewing people is that I'm literally hearing them and learning from them. I think just about every guest I've ever had, I've learned, something from, whether it's a factoid or a new thing that I didn't know, or an insight into how to look at something, a reframing of my previous thoughts, something like that. And people are available for us to listen to. In fact, they like being listened to. I think we all enjoy that. Being actually really heard and validated is one of those very interesting things that it isn't terribly difficult to do, but it is sometimes hard to remember to do it. And when we receive it, it feels like we found an oasis in the middle of the desert. And when we give it, sometimes we don't feel like we're doing much of anything. And so I think that's just something, we need to remember is listening. But this is not about communication skills today, although listening is a good one. It's about the way that we present things, the way that we share things, and the way we consume them. So I just, you see a lot of people sharing inspirational things and trying to highlight the needs and the hard work and survival of people who have disabilities. Now, as I said, though, this is something we have to be very careful of. And I am going to be purposely vague here in a second because I just saw something earlier that got me thinking about this topic. The thing that I saw was from a content creator. It was from a certain platform, certain person, team, people, whatever they are. And I'm not gonna try to call them out because I don't know their intentions. Okay, but I will say that I saw them make a couple of different posts that concerned me a little, and I would love to hear people's opinions about how to approach this sort of intersection between inspiration from someone's story and the pitfalls. And the pitfalls are: do we turn someone else's story into either a form of sort of tragedy porn or inspiration porn? I don't know. I don't like putting porn at the end of everything, but do we run the risk of turning it into something that is either just entertainment or that makes us feel good about ourselves because we heard a cool story? Or is it something that motivates us to really understand somebody as an individual and get to know the complexities of their situation? So what I saw with a couple posts, and I went and I scrolled through a lot of these posts and things, and I'll just give you an example. There was an individual who was being highlighted. It was a child, and it was they gave their diagnosis. I don't want to call anybody out. So this, gave a diagnosis that is a early childhood developmental disorder and mental health influenced kind of thing. And it was described as a genetic condition that is known for causing a friendly, happy personality with a great outlook in life, and kind of went on with that. I think this flirts right with that edge. of saying like, oh, here's an inspirational person who maintains this attitude and the way that they do things. But I also think you have to be very careful. One of the things that I've heard this from many, many people with disabilities is that we have a cliche and a stereotype that if you have a disability, you are supposed to be this inspirational, always positive, kind of person who basically is existing as an inspiration for everybody else out there. And so I just think we need to be very cautious of that. And it just triggered this thought. One of the other things that did concern me is a couple of posts later, there was, another profile of another child. And this was actually a child of color. And it was emphasis on, boy, isn't this hard for their caretakers? And isn't this hard for everybody? And isn't this hard and hard? Same diagnosis, that supposedly the diagnosis is characterized by being a happy, upbeat personality who makes everybody feel good about them, their world. So, are we being consistent in the way that we're presenting things? Am I being a little nitpicky? Yeah, maybe. But my go-to reaction when I do see these things, especially as someone who I spent a lot of time working with young children and also in residential and acute psychiatric care at the beginning of my career, and working a lot with people of all ages who have had disabilities that either they were born with or that they developed later, and having mental health conditions that are treated very much like a terrible disability, and almost a psychological death sentence is how they're treated. So I don't want to put these particular people on blast, but they made me think a lot about this question of how do we present, especially when we are highlighting or sharing an individual's journey. Are we being consistent? Are we listening to them? Are we, letting ourselves give a real full picture of a full human being? So this is just something to think about. And on a personal level, when you look at people in your life who have disabilities, whether it's a family member of someone, if it's a child of friends of yours, it's a friend of your kids, if it's a friend of yours, if it's a coworker, if it's a fill in the blank, people know each other lots of different ways. I don't have to show off that I know more of them. If it's your chiropractor's office administrator, there we go. That was another one. So if you have people in your life, if you're close enough, then it might be interesting to have a conversation with them about, are there things that are supportive or not supportive? Or it might be even better to just make sure that you're treating them like a human person, that you're not making some big deal about that. So, and you have to kind of be a judge there. People don't like to be asked questions as if they are the one spokesperson for whatever group they maybe occupy. On the other hand, if you know someone well enough to ask, and I've done this myself with people who I know as I'm preparing episodes for the podcast, and I'm not going to pretend that I've always been perfect with this, but I like to ask people, is this being presented in a way that is sensitive? That type of thing. It's just something that we could learn, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say all of us probably could do a little better at that. And, really asking ourselves, do I view someone as their diagnosis first or their disability first? And then I go on from there, even if it's complementary. How much do I know about them as an individual, and do I treat them that way? So just something for us all to think about. Thank you so much for listening. Back with a brand new episode and interview tomorrow. And as I said before, go to dcoffeefoundation.org to support Dr. Coffee's wonderful work with young people there. And go out and hopefully you find something good to excite you, to break your brain around, and have a great week. Talk to you soon.